Hi, I'm Jenn Drummond. Welcome to my podcast, Take a Break. Take a Break is about enhancing and preserving the greatest asset you have, you. Okay, so introduction of our guest today is Madeline Mann, an HR and recruiting leader who spun her insider knowledge of the hiring process into an award-winning career coaching empire with millions of lives impacted called Self-Made Millennial. She is known for finding the glory in your story to enable any professional to land high-paying job offers for seemingly unattainable roles. Her coaching program, Standout Job Search, has led to thousands of success stories, and her clients have landed roles at companies such as Netflix, Google, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, NBC Universal, Amazon, and more. She's been featured on ABC, Bloomberg, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Business Insider, to just name a few. And today she's here with us. So super fun. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks so much, Jen.
Okay, so I read a little bit about your story, which I want you to share with the audience of how you got into the field you're in.
Yes. So I was the head of HR at a tech company, and I had found my dream job. I really loved it every day, coming into work, building a culture, all of that. And one of the things I noticed is that I was the one reading these resumes. I was the one who was in these rooms discussing with executives who's going to get promoted, who's going to get hired. And there's very specific things that certain people would do that would get them so far in their career, and then other things that would shoot people in the foot. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up creating content. I just started putting content out there because I was so passionate about my work that I just wanted to share it with people. And it was very organic over time. I started a YouTube channel, then I started posting on LinkedIn. And over time, my reach became so big and people were getting so many success stories that people said, Madeline, we need coaching from you. We need products from you. We need more in-depth information. And so I ended up building this business, Self-Made Millennial, and then leaving my full-time HR job that I loved to do something that was leading to much bigger impact. And so it's been absolutely amazing. It's been about 5 years now since just the beginnings of me posting things online. And I would have never thought I would be here, but it's been an absolutely incredible journey.
That's amazing. And what I love about it is that you say, I just started posting online. I think so many of us get caught up in it has to be perfect or what it needs to look like or this end game. So then we never start.
Yes.
And you just said, hey, this needs to get out here. I don't care that it's not maybe perfect or whatever, but I'm going to post it. And then because you're doing, it's easier to refine, right?
Yep, exactly. There was no end game. And also I think at the beginning, you do kind of have to run on passion because, Jen, I'll be honest, it was not that I woke up one day, started posting online and everyone loved it and everyone was listening. It took years for people to realize I existed. So to get through that hump of you have to kind of go through that process in order to get to the other side where it's really successful. You kind of have to exactly start and love it and go through that growth period that is not necessarily easy.
Right. Yeah. And I think when I was reading about things, basically you're helping people to play offense with their careers and their job and things like that, correct?
Absolutely. It's all about, instead of job searching, job shopping.
Job shopping, right. And how do you help people flip that mentality when they don't have a job? Because it is a mentality switch.
Completely. And what's so important here is what the first piece that a lot of people miss is that they go straight for pursuing opportunities. Like they just think, I just need to be proactive. So I'm going to apply to a bunch of jobs and put myself out there, when really they forget the first step, which is what do you want? And how are we going to articulate your value? How are we going to find that glory in your story? And what is so amazing is when you slow down and when you figure out exactly what you want, which is the hardest part, it's actually very difficult to know exactly, okay, this is the direction I want to move in. You can then put all of your weight behind that pursuit, and your branding on your LinkedIn profile suddenly becomes crystal clear. Your resume, the relationships you build with people suddenly become very meaningful. So I think that too many of us, especially if we are unemployed, we run around with our head cut off, really worried about, okay, where's my next paycheck going to come from? But actually, the fastest way to get to that paycheck is actually through what I call low volume job search, which is where you're extremely directed with your approach and you're landing, if you're going after 10 companies, you're landing interviews at least 7 of them versus going to this high volume where you're going for 100 different businesses and you're maybe getting a couple interviews.
Wow. And are you working with people on a one-on-one basis then to help them identify what their strengths are or careers that will allow them to blossom? Or when someone's saying, when you're in that fear mentality or that non-abundance mentality, right? Then it's harder to always see ourselves in these roles, right? So is that something that you do one-on-one with people, or do you have them fill out questionnaires, or how do you help people get to that spot of, here is my glory, here is my story?
So I have this formula called a one-page career vision, which is finally a process that people can follow that allows them to go step by step of understanding exactly what they are looking for, what they're missing in order to get that thing, how to get it, and then having a really clear vision of exactly what they want to target. And so I do that in my group coaching program, Standout Job Search, where they go through this process and then I review everything they do. So I review the work that they've done. They hop on group coaching calls. We talk about what they've been focused on. And that has been absolutely incredible because people who have, for the last 6 years, have been stuck or unhappy, in 2 weeks, they suddenly realize, oh, this is it. This is what I want to go for. And I know how to do it now. So it's super cool, but it's also, I want to give anyone who's listening grace that if you have been stuck, it is really hard to get out of that being stuck without a very specific process, because it's a very complicated thing to figure out what is exactly the right next move.
Right. And we all have been in jobs that are not our best fit. And how do we know? We come home drained, we come home empty, we come home like just, you could just tell, right? How you feel at the end of the day gives you a sign of, yes, I'm where I'm lined up and I'm around an environment that's supportive for what I need, or no, I'm not. And maybe there's some things I should be looking for that make, fill those voids.
I think that's a huge signal of when you're sitting at the dinner table with your family, who's showing up? Is it someone who's complaining about your boss for the, 3rd time this week? Or is it someone who's like, oh man, so we started this new project today and I'm leading it and I'm really excited. Like, we want to show up the best possible way for our friends and family and loved ones. So, and we spend too much time at work to not make that a huge priority, because that will impact our family. It will impact our well-being. It'll impact our health. So exactly, it needs to be a top priority.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I have found in my story, I've had people or moments where if you looked at that isolated moment, you feel broken, right? And then all of a sudden you realize that break was actually a blessing, right? It allowed you to look into something further, self-assess, go forward. And that's kind of this brand break proof that I'm working on for myself of the breaks really aren't necessarily a break and now all of a sudden we're destroyed. The breaks are, oh, this is an opportunity to say, do I want to pursue this path or this path? And what can I learn here so that I become break proof in this facet of my life going forward, right? So have you had moments in your life where the break has actually opened up into something so much better than you could have imagined?
Yes. And I have been pretty open about it. I mean, one of the things I've talked about is I've been fired from a job, right? Which is, I've also been laid off. And I think fired is a lot more personal, because it's like, the problem is you, right? And that really, and it took me a long time to feel okay talking about it, because there's shame that was involved. And what I realized was it was so incredible to leave that job, because when you realize that it's not necessarily that you need to fix the flower, you maybe just need to plant it in a different garden. And of course, you always still want to work on yourself. But what happened was I ended up finding a job at another company where I actually had a lot more responsibility. I actually led an entire department which actually enabled me to be so much more on the ball with everything because I knew the buck stopped with me. And I just found I was not the kind of person who could work on a tiny role in a tiny job. And so it was like this amazing moment where I was able to pick myself up, say, you have so much value to add, even though you feel absolutely destroyed by this opportunity. And I was able to put my best foot forward, land an incredible job, big salary increase, big responsibility increase. And then once I had gotten that job, I thrived. It was amazing. And so that is exactly what you're talking about how when you're in the moment, it feels so dark. But then once you see where you got to on the other side, you think, thank goodness they fired me. Like, thank goodness I got to go to this other opportunity, because that is what started all. That's actually the role that kicked off Self-Made Millennial and like got me so excited about life. And so it's just all about finding that right garden to be planted in.
Oh, I love that. That is so good. And I think that resonates for so many of us, right? It feels heavy, it feels dark at moments, but if you just know that you're alive, so there's more to come, right? And what more to come often is so much better than what was already there. It's just, we can't see it yet, right? We're in the weeds of learning how to navigate it. And then we get there and you're like, oh, thank you for all of my setbacks and hardships, because I am who I am because of them.
Yeah, exactly. And just, to be able to really, just put yourself in that new situation, own it. And it's just so difficult to see it in hindsight. Like, once you see it in hindsight, it makes so much sense, but it's very tough going through it.
Right. And you talk a little bit about how you had this great job. It was your favorite career. And while you were there, you were building the side business. And a lot of people think, oh my God, how would I have enough energy to do both? So hit on that a little bit, and then hit on when it was like, now it's time to walk away and do my own thing, because those are two pivotal moments in where you are.
Yeah. So this whole journey was not what I had planned. I mean, my entire career has been being basically the right hand to CEOs, giving them advice on building their people strategy. And I was like, I never want to be a founder. Like, being a founder is really stressful. It's, I don't have to work 40 hours a week. I can work 80 hours a week, right? So, and that's not always the case, but the founders I was around really worked extremely hard. And so I just kind of had this side hustle. And the energy aspect is something really interesting that you bring up, because I picked very specific jobs. Like, I had declined offers at bigger companies with bigger names and bigger salaries because I knew it didn't play to my values as much. And I also knew I wouldn't be able to balance my side hustle as much as well. And so what really was is that I picked jobs that really lit me up. And then when I got home, I was energized. Like, I had all this extra energy. And a lot of the energy came from the really interesting stories of what I experienced during the day. And I was able to parlay that into my content. And so that really helped me, where I was just running on that high. And then it's interesting because the month before I quit my job to go into business for myself full time, someone asked me, Madeline, like, when are you going to quit your job and go out on your own? Because that's what people think is the dream, right? Be your own boss, all that kind of stuff. And I said, no, I have no plans on doing that. I really love my career. But then when I was closing my Q1 of that year, my financials, I go, oh my goodness, I am making more money in a quarter than I would make all year in my job. Like, this is, I need to just get practical here. Like, the impact I'm making is much larger, the number of success stories. And so I just put my resignation in right away, because I said, Madeline, you're ignoring how big this is.
Yeah.
And so even though I did love my job, since leaving, it has just further affirmed that this is what I need to be doing. And the amount of people that I am helping and changing their lives has just been so thrilling.
Oh yeah, no, I can see it in your energy. I can see how you present. And here's what I love about it is there's so much preaching about balance nowadays, right? And how do you balance your life? And your career started a lot like mine, where it's not balanced. my life was in either working or working on building the business, and it was 12 hours a day, but I was so passionate about helping people that it was more about the people than it was about how many hours I was putting in. But then what happens when you like front load these careers with time and energy and passion is later on you have flexibility to get more of your time back,
Yes.
or expand more, or do different things. So when I think of my friends that are millennials, I'm always like, it will be balanced someday. It just might not be balanced day one, right? And if you can like keep your game on who I'm helping, what kind of impact I'm having, and just stay in that lane, the upsets and the setbacks and like all the little headaches that come, you have like the will to be able to deal with them, I would say.
I completely agree. I would say the amount of hours I was working, especially in the beginning, I was editing each YouTube video myself. It was taking me at least 10 hours per video just to edit it, not even just to script it or to film it or to create the social posts around it and emails. And so even that, like to dedicate that amount of time outside of work, it is a challenge. But you're right, because I built that foundation and because I put in those long hours, I don't stay up till, midnight these days working on stuff. I just work normal hours or even fewer than normal hours.
Right. Right.
And it's because it's all that front loading, exactly as you said, of just being hungry, making it happen, grinding a bit, and then saying, all right, like now I get to enjoy the fruit of my labors.
Yes. And this is what I've noticed too, is you get to a point where the revenue's coming in, and now you can hire other people to do editing or give them careers and let them have like a little flavor into what you're doing. And like all this good just spins and spins and spins and spins. And it's just awe inspiring, right? Like you just like, you're like, this is happening. Like this is real life. I'm so happy right now.
Exactly. Yeah. It was funny when I hired my video editor. I was so nervous because video editing is something that is, it adds to the personality of the stuff. And he's way better than me at video editing. So it was kind of like this also humbling experience of, Madeline, you're not actually the best at everything. Like when you actually hand it off to other people, they will take things that you created and make them 10 times better. So that has been a huge, exactly. It's so rewarding to hire other people and then watch them succeed so far beyond what you could do.
Yeah. No, that's such a good part of it. Who has played like a mentorship role for you, or who's guided you through some of these decisions that you were, hey, thank you to this person because it's made a huge impact in who I am?
Yeah. So I am all about getting coaches, getting mentors. That has been one of the reasons why I think I'm successful. I would say Kelly Roach. If you're familiar with her, she is a tremendous, she was a former SVP at a Fortune 500 company, and she left and she built this amazing empire basically to help entrepreneurs, 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, just really scale their businesses. And she's just this incredible business mind where I think so many of us build our businesses in a vacuum sometimes, or we take advice from people who haven't been where we want to be. And to have her look at my business and go, don't do this, don't do that. Yes, do that, do that. And then watch her strategy come to life. It's pretty remarkable.
Aw, that's amazing. I love that. So balancing personal life, work life, now that the business is up and running better, you feel that you have a lot of control on your time and good there. It sounds like.
I think hiring is the toughest part. Hiring is the best part and the worst part, because when you hire great people, it changes your life. And when you maybe don't make the right hires, and again, it might be just the wrong flower in the wrong garden, you realize, oh man, I haven't hired for this role before, and I picked someone with maybe a skill set that would be not best in this business. So I think that for me, that's been a challenge of really getting the right team. But now I feel so secure in the team I have. They're incredible. But it is a journey. It's not, a lot of times, especially when your business is new, you have to hire several different people into a role before you realize, oh, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. It's not this perfect linear line.
Right.
I got this hired. Now we're synergistic and we're going here. There is definitely like, oh, never mind. We needed this skill set and I didn't really realize it until I realized we didn't have it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I love, okay, so I want to talk about LinkedIn because everybody talks about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But you have really good insights on LinkedIn and why that's such a great place to build your brand and network and find where you want to go.
Yes. So LinkedIn is totally slept on. A lot of people see it as the ugly stepchild of social media, but it really is. It's where so many amazing prospects are. It's where so many people who you can find opportunities with are. And so I would say for LinkedIn, what's interesting about it is LinkedIn is what I call stumble upon content, where when someone sees you on their LinkedIn feed, they didn't necessarily choose to see you. They like, unlike a YouTube video where a lot of us will type something into Google and watch a YouTube video pertaining to that. So what is interesting is that gives you the opportunity to catch the attention of your second degree connections, third degree connections, even fourth degree connections. So the organic reach is one of the best out of any of the social platforms. So when you're able to then show up regularly, use the right strategies, create content that is sticky and not only allows them to kind of click and read more, but also take something away and then follow you, you will see such a snowball effect in not only your LinkedIn profile, but actually your business. That it's one of the main drivers of my business as far as people building interest in a lot of the services and the content I create.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, do you think that's unique to your business because you are in interviewing and all that, or do you think most businesses could do a better job at presenting themselves on LinkedIn?
So I would actually say that other businesses will probably do even better because it's pretty saturated for me, right? Like a lot of people are on there just like me. Hey, here's 3 tips for your interview. But I have a free class that I think it's on the front page of my LinkedIn profile of like how to 10x your personal brand. And the amount of people who I have had go through that class and then kind of take like my more robust class after that have turned into LinkedIn top voices, almost none of them are from the career space. I have someone who is in marketing and in diversity, equity, inclusion, and sales, and all these different people who it's like when they post, because there's such a low volume of people posting on LinkedIn, if you see someone posting in your niche, it's like, boom, like you go straight to them. So that's really, I've seen that to be a huge benefit.
Wow. Note to self, LinkedIn. We're working on that one.
Yes, do it.
Okay. So how did you figure, okay, so you were in this HR thing, you started sharing tips along the way, and then everything kept growing. Where do you see yourself going? Like where's the next win for you?
So I am definitely looking towards writing a book next. I think that is the next frontier. And I've also been moving more into kind of the mainstream media, right? Like I was on a talk show the other day. I'm starting to I was on, ABC News. So I really want to make sure that as we're moving into this time of a bit of uncertainty, potential recession, all that kind of stuff, that really it's getting out to the masses of how to best set yourself up, how to build an exit strategy from your business should you ever lose your job, how to make sure that you are really positioning yourself for success, not just right now, but for the rest of your career. And I'm really hoping to get that message out farther, because I don't know that there's so many amazing people in my space, but we really need someone to step up and like be the person, right? The person who's really going to make sure to get this message out, because I think people need it now a lot.
Oh, no, I know a lot of people that are nervous with what's happening and saying, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm not on the firing block? Or if I am on the firing block and We have these rumors of recession. Like, how do you get back on the horse before? I mean, it's a fearful market for sure right now.
There's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, exactly. How do we, because what I really preach is we need to make sure that you're set up for success during the good times. Like, let's not wait till you're laid off. And then of course, if you're laid off, I can help you. Like, we'll make it happen, and we'll make it happen lickety split. But the amazing piece is when so many of my clients, they'll, something will happen to their job and they'll be like, Madeline, it's actually okay, because from everything we worked on together, I already have like 3 interviews next week. Like, they've just been kind of on the back burner. And that's the peace of mind I want you to have when it comes to your career.
Yeah. What's been your favorite success story of somebody that you've helped? Or one of your favorites? I know when we say favorite, that makes it even harder.
Yeah, one of the ones that I love that happened pretty recently was I was working with this woman named Paula. She was a bit disenchanted. She had taken her career to be a relationship coach, which sounds like an incredible career. And I think a lot of us will choose careers based on the way they sound, but not necessarily the way that they play to our values and our strengths. And so she was a bit disenchanted. She's like, wow, why did I go down this path when it's really not what I want? And she had also taken some time off to be a mother. And so she felt like, can I change careers at this point in my life? And if I do I have to start from the bottom? And the answer is yes, you can absolutely change careers, and absolutely no, you don't need to start from the bottom. So it was really fun to work with her because we did that 1-page career vision. She was able to figure out, I want to work with customers. I want to work in customer success. And she kept going for like associate level roles. I said, Paula, you got too much going for you, girl. Like, we got to go up higher. So she said, okay, I'll go for manager level roles. Okay, she landed a manager level role with a great salary increase. And she's loving that job now. And it was just so cool to see someone completely change their view of themselves and also not go back to school. I have nothing against school, but I think so many of us think we need to get another degree in order to make a pivot. And she did this all within a few months. And so it's really all about having the right strategy. And just to see her now so excited about her career and moving to something that actually really lights her up, that is what this is all about.
Yeah. And having that mindset of more, right? I think sometimes we can get so defined into what this title is and realizing maybe we shouldn't be title searching. Maybe we should be like value searching, right? And I feel that's really where you preach to is, okay, here's who you are. You help build their confidence up into what that is, allow them to own it, and then help them find a role to exploit it.
Yes, exactly.
Are companies like hounding your door saying, hey, find me people because they know your abilities right now? Or are you still focusing mainly on the people side, not the company side?
Yeah. So, I mean, my whole career was focused on the company side, and I adore the company side, but I have gone so all in on the people side, the job seeker side. And so that's really what I've been dedicating my full time to, is coaching those folks.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's great. How did you determine your strengths? Like, did you go through your own exercises and that's how you built the program that you allow other people to do? Or, there's Strength Finder. I just feel there's so much out there in that space to figure out, have you found one thing to work better than another?
Yeah, so there's different ways you can do it. You can definitely I used to run strength finders all the time in the organizations I was a part of, and I think there's a lot of value in that. I think even asking people who you've worked with, what do you see as my strengths? I think what's true about both of those is we need to get out of our own head. We are way too close to our own stories. I call it autobiography syndrome, where if I was to ask most professionals about themselves, they would tell this really long story that has all these different, curves and stuff like that, when really it's not succinct. It doesn't help me to understand, okay, but what value would you add to my business, right? And so I think that is the number one thing is I think we get a little bit too close to our own thing. We think about that when really we need to see, okay, how do other people see us? Or can we use these other tools to help us see us in a fresh way? And then also translating those strengths into something a bit more tangible, right? So I think sometimes we might be like, my strength is being creative. Okay, but what does that mean exactly? Are you really good at problem solving, right? And like really solving maybe complex issues when it comes to strategy. Like that is like a little bit more tangible that we can hold on to and bring that into an interview or like craft a pitch about you about that. So I think just also diving in a bit deeper and digging your heels in.
Yeah. I am learning so much. I love this. This is so good. This is so good. Is there anything else that we have not covered that you feel is very helpful for people to know right now with the current market state that we're in?
I think it's really important right now that I think a lot of people will pull away and think, oh, I can't be choosy in this market or something like that, and I think that is one of the most dangerous mentalities to have, because for these competitive roles, companies are looking for people who are in demand. They're looking for people who are interviewing that company just as much as that company is interviewing them. And it actually is like a huge red flag to them if you say, oh, I don't have any questions, or you don't seem to know exactly what you want. A lot of people are afraid to get focused on what they want because they think they're going to cut out other opportunities, when really it's the complete opposite. Companies, when they hear you speak to, this is what I want and here's how I'm going to add value, they start to sell you on the opportunity because they say, oh, you sound exactly what we want. So that's my thing, is like, you need to go job shopping. You need to set your standards and allow companies to rise to them. And that is what is going to drive so many more opportunities. And I don't care if you've been unemployed for 10 years, you can still do this if you're positioning yourself the right way. Right.
No, I agree. Once you commit to something and you're like, this is what, I'll give you an example for me. I decided to climb these 7-second summits, right? Be the first female to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to tackle these mountains? Well, I did the first one. And then because people knew what the other mountains I had to climb, they reached out to me and said, hey, listen, we have this opportunity in Kenya that we need to have an ambulance delivered to a charity. If you're going to Kenya to climb that mountain, do you think you could help us out? 1,000% yes. But if I wasn't defined on here's what I need to do, then people don't even know how to use you, right? Or how to have you be a part of what they're doing. And once we know, it just allows us to trust and have faith and let go, because you're so confident, then we don't have to worry, right?
That is such a perfect example, because opportunities are just coming to you now. They just come to you. It's not like you're sitting on there, keyboard warrior, like trying to shoot out a bunch of emails. This is your brand. You have, I mean, I know about your mission and all that. Like, anyone who knows you knows about your mission. It's very clear. And to have that so clearly spelled out, that means that you are going to have so many more opportunities come your way, and people are going to be more inclined to help you and also to collaborate with you.
Yeah. Right. No, I love it. Well, we learned a ton today, like the importance of LinkedIn, the importance of finding the glory in your story, right? The importance of remembering that you're on the offense. You get to drive your career path. And in fact, companies will want to be seeking you because you're so confident in what you can bring to the table. So I'm like, if I was looking for a job right now, I'd be all fired up and ready to go.
Let's make it happen. Yeah.
I love it. So thank you for your time today. I will be playing this soon, and we are going to give you material to get it out on the place, and hopefully find more people to benefit from your services.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me. This has been super fun, super just breezy and just a great chat.